Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how I made this apocalyptic sci-fi scene using mainly Blender and Photoshop. So, let's go first into Blender. The first thing I did was to add a camera and adjust its parameters. For this scene I used a focal length of 40mm and a square resolution of 1920 pixels. Now, here you can see how the scene is organized. There are only the amount of meshes needed to cover the camera view. The ground is composed of two planes, one for the foreground and the other for the background. These planes are not subdivided because the grass is going to cover most of it. I assigned a rocky ground PBR material from Megascans to these planes and used a value node to give it a proper scale. And here you can see how I position those planes to cover the camera's view. Now, for the foliage I use the Botanic add-on, which comes with a bunch of pre-made plants and trees that you can quickly add to your scene. I spawned some of those trees and then placed them to fill the scene. The grass was also made with the Botanic add-on. This add-on comes with a scatter system which allows you to scatter grass onto your meshes. As you can see here, you can control the number, scale, and rotation of the grass. And you can also choose the type of grass to be scattered. The scatter system assigns a ground material by default to the mesh you select, but I hid it from the viewport and from the render since I already had one. Then, I added planes with silhouettes of bushes so the background didn't look too empty. This part of the scene is going to be dark, so it's not necessary to use the foliage of the Botanic add-on, and it will help to reduce the rendering time. The image is a white silhouette with a black background, so I needed to invert the image to plug it into the base color. And as you can see, I used the same image as the alpha. The big rock in the scene is a photogrammetry scan I downloaded from Sketchfab. I imported it and then positioned it onto the scene. The person you see here was made using MakeHuman, which is a free software you can download from his page. This software allows you to create characters and also generate rigs. Moreover, it comes with some default poses that you can use or other ones that you can download from its page. After you import it into your scene, you can go to the pose mode and make some changes by moving or rotating the bones of the rig. Now let's see the drone model. The main body is a UV sphere divided into 4 parts. I used Select Random to select some faces and then used Extrude Along Normals to give the variation you see here. I also used a bevel modifier so the edges don't look too sharp. The top part of the model is a bunch of torus meshes duplicated and rotated multiple times. I used Select Random and Extrude Along Normals like I did with the main body. And the front part of the model is a cylinder with some extrusions as you see here. Now, for the materials I used an image generated by JS Placement, which is a free software that allows you to create maps like the one you see here. I used this image as base color and also as a roughness map. I added a color ramp node in between so I could adjust the intensity of this roughness map. Now, for the light of the drone I used an emission shader with a white color and a strength of 6.5. I also added a spotlight right in this place to give more illumination to the scene. And for the background light I used the sky texture node. I adjusted its parameters to give an orange tint to the scene. To give more realism to the scene, I activated the depth of field of the camera. If you click on the Show Focus Plane button, it will show in red where is the main focus of the camera. In this case is on the drone. With the f-stop parameter you can adjust the intensity of the depth of field. Right now I'm in Eevee preview mode, but I use Cycles for the render. Cycles doesn't add bloom by default, so I used Eevee to export this pass and then use it in Photoshop. Now I'm here in Photoshop and this is the final image. Let's go quickly into each step. This is the render I got from Cycles. As you can see, I made the render with a transparent background. For the background I added this sky image I downloaded from Unsplash. Then I placed images of buildings so it looks like there is a city far on the horizon. After that, I added images of smoke and fire with different blending modes so it looks like this city is in flames. And I also adjusted their opacity. Then I used a hue saturation adjustment layer to give an orange tint to the background. After that, I selected the drone, duplicated it, and applied motion blur so it looked like it was moving. Here I noticed the drone was too dark, so I used a levels adjustment layer to make it brighter. Then I opened the bloom pass I exported from Blender and changed its blending mode to screen. After that, I added images of light rays. I deformed them using the warp mode and changed its blending mode to lighten. And I desaturated it so it looks white. With the use of a curves adjustment layer, I added a vignette effect like you see here. Then I added this type of color lookup, and also a curves adjustment layer to enhance the details. I also added an image of dust particles in color dodge blending mode, and desaturated it to make it white. Finally, I used a levels adjustment layer to change the exposure of the image a bit. And this is the final result. Thanks for watching.